Okay folks, today I'm going to explain how I think gamers can force these gacha companies to listen without having to form some grand union in boycotting or bombing Google Classroom. See, all players can, and we already are united about this one idea. And that idea is that every company should be transparent and accountable to that transparency. The company should 100% be accountable for communicating exactly what their game is, what it will be, and offer a roadmap of when the game will meet those plans. And if they did those three things, the game would naturally listen to its players by filtering the players that do not want what the devs promised. You just have to get them to make those promises. And if the company's not doing any of those things, then you're getting scammed. That's just literally the definition of what a scam is. So what I'm suggesting specifically is TLDR, is that we can hold companies accountable by simply seeing if the feedback matches the patch notes. If they bring things up in the feedback survey regarding the state and the future of the game, those same things have to be discussed in the following patch notes, dev notes, live stream, etc. Any way that they have of communicating with the players to make it clear what the players want, what they said, what the company is going to do in response, and when they will do those things as a roadmap. If they do not make those three things clear, then simply do not continue to invest in that game until they make it clear exactly what the game will be and who it's for. Now, if this idea casually just spreads throughout the gacha space, it removes the need for large-scale boycotts and movements. Players will have binary metrics to hold companies accountable, and companies will have to be accountable to get their money. It really is just that simple. And the independent behavior of the players becomes a collective, either transparent or you don't get any money. So if you understand that, I don't really have anything else to add beyond that. So thanks for watching. Just tell a friend. The rest of this video, I'm just going to elaborate on why this is such a dangerous and predatory tactic, why it works so well. And it's a lot more than Hoyoverse. This is used in the entire space. The game itself becomes this loot box with no pity, and you have no idea what it will turn into, but you support it because the feedback survey gives you hope. And where there's hope, there's usually money. So let's talk about it. The problem is that the devs listening is seen as this miraculous unicorn of a blessing, when what it actually is the basic requirement for just not being a scam. If you order shoes from Amazon and they don't send them to you, it's a scam. Or if they send you paper clips instead, it's a scam. It's the same thing with these games. If you ask for things and you're giving them money, you're investing in the game, and they're not doing it, you're getting scammed. But see, because of the free-to-play nature of the games, companies have nearly zero legal accountability, if any, in a traditional business sense. They don't have to do anything. They don't even have to give you something to use your gems on. All you're paying for is gems, imaginary gems in a game. And they don't even have to promise you that they're actually going to release characters or weapons. They really just don't have to do anything. They have nearly zero accountability. So it's much more important for the players to police the company themselves. And they have to be even more diligent because no one's going to defend them. There is no defense if you fall for the scam. But the companies hint at it, right? They hint at accountability. Every single patch, they give you this feedback survey because they know that they legally don't have to do anything. But they also know that your investing in their game is going to be based on you thinking that they will do a certain thing. Because every purchase you make is based on the future of the game. See, it's not like rushing out to a store to buy a couch before that store closes down. See, that couch will still have value. There's not a single thing in these games. The most beautiful, the most powerful, meta-breaking character, they have no value if the game is shutting down that day, and no one's going to spend on it. All right, so as players, you have to really acknowledge that all of your investment, time or money, is based on the future of that game because it's a live service. Even a busted character in a game that keeps going, but that never has any meaningful content, becomes useless. So most of the things you're purchasing on, when you're saving, whatever you're doing, it's because you have this idea in your head of where this game is going. You really have to acknowledge that. And so to influence your future investments, the company provides these patch surveys that hint at what the future of the game might be, that the devs might listen, that the game might be worth your support. They might release your favorite style of character, or fix the echo or artifact system, etc. And that's how they could scam you out of your time and money if you're not actually holding them accountable to doing the things that they hinted at, or at least giving you a plan. And so what we as players need to do, we need to get the promises in writing. And we don't have to ask for it. They mirror the two things. And that's what they should mirror. The feedback should match the patch notes. It shouldn't be a gamble to see if the devs are actually even making this game for you as a player in the first place. So did the patch acknowledge the feedback and lay out the intention or plan clearly? If not, do not invest in that game because it's a scam. You're getting scammed. The only reason not to tell you exactly what they're going to do is to get money from people that the game is not for. They know that if they tell you, we have no intention to add male characters, some people will find another game. If they tell you, we're not adding any more challenging content or any long-form content, some people will find another game. If they keep asking you how you feel about the ecosystem or the artifact system and character progression, that you're going to think that they're going to ultimately do something about it. And then that thought turns to hope, and people invest in the things that they hope for. But they never actually said they were going to do it. They could have brought up anything on there. They just asked you, what do you think about swimsuits and visual novels? They never actually have to commit to any of the things that they mention, but they're putting the ideas in your head that this is where the development of the game is going. So you have to make sure that they actually come back and say, that's why we asked. We actually intend to do something about that. Otherwise, your investment's probably wasted. So patch after patch, you're like, well, they keep asking me, but nothing has happened. Because that means you're getting scammed. And I know you don't like to think of your favorite company that way. See, Hoyoverse and Kuro are both in my top 5 favorite developers ever. Right up there with Capcom and Namco, and I don't know who the 5th is, but whatever. Either way, those 2 are definitely in there. If you could give me any developers to make a game exactly to my specifications, I would take either of them, just because of their ability and how well they do what I love about games. So I want to love both of them. But I have to recognize that they are a business, and if they are not being transparent about what their games are, it's just not a good idea to invest in their business. It's not helped me to have some streamer or YouTuber or random commenter tell me what their games are supposed to be or who they're supposed to be for. It's not my best interest that any of those NPCs represent the company. It's in the company's best interest, though, because it can earn them investments that they have zero accountability to. And we see how this happens and has happened, and it's on us as individual players to protect ourselves. Get it in writing or keep your money in your pocket. Because when it's in writing, you can then hold them accountable, and that's why you need a timeline too. The Wuthering Waves is a 9.5 out of 10 game for me. Even Genshin is still an 8.5 out of 10. Zenless is probably a 9. These games are really my thing. I've invested over 10,000 in Wuthering Waves, and it was worth every penny, because it was clear that they ran out of money leading to the early launch. And in my opinion, the community kind of came to the rescue. They spent huge in those first few months of Wuthering Waves. And then in 2.0, you saw where that money went. I got what I wanted out of my investment. How the game blew up, all the people that were appreciating it. And one of the biggest thing about games like this, as opposed to just indie game or buy-to-play game, is that so many more people get to play than the amount that the game costs, even for the whales. You can't build a huge communities like these. That's why I invest. It's like my favorite game is BlazBlue Entropy Effect, and I'm going to plug it as many times as I can on this channel, because when I eventually quit, that's where I'll probably be spending all my time. But it's a huge difference when you get like 4 other people that actually play the game, compared to having full chats of hype every single time a character release, and the content release schedule. So there's a lot of advantage to it, and I feel like I got what I paid for. But I still put on every single feedback that the same reason I quit Genshin and Zenless is going to be the reason I quit WoWa, because as a live service, ongoing game, the ecosystem is just unacceptable for me. I can't invest literal years into the actual end game, which is building characters. That's the end game, and have nothing promised for my time. See, I don't consider a lottery a progression system. And just wasting hundreds of hours of my time feels terrible, right? In 6 months with Genshin, I didn't get a single improvement. I did the same domain for 6 months straight and didn't get a single improved artifact. And I'm far from, I don't even have any characters that are, 200 CV? All of mine are bland. They're just passable. And I still didn't get anything better in 6 months. So I'm like, okay, I'm quitting. I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I applied the exact same test to Zenless Zone Zero in 6 months. I didn't have a single endgame ready build, so I quit. Now, Wuthering 1.0, I got all my builds within like 1 week. Incredible luck. I literally built all of the different attribute echoes in like 1 week. Every day I got like 3 usable echoes. But then I spent 4 months trying to get 1 usable Jue echo. And now in 2.0, I have literally 2 usable echoes across all builds. Not even 1 set for any of the new characters. It feels terrible. I hate that. So I'm like, you have until 3.0 to tell me what you're going to do with this, or I'm going to quit. It's not a threat. It's just business. If the game's not for me, I'm not going to keep playing it. I'm not going to keep investing in it. And if they're just transparent and say, hey, the overwhelming majority of players just prefer more of a lottery than a progression system, then I'd already know this is not for me. Or even if they failed the test, but then they said, hey, in 3.3, we're going to revamp the pity system into the ecosystem, then I can keep playing. I'll keep investing because I know what you're doing. Even if you're not there yet, I'm investing in the future anyway. I don't care what you do with your game, just tell me what it is, and if it's for me, I'll continue to invest. The other deal breakers are like the 50-50 on the first copy of a character. I can't think of one good reason to do that. It doesn't make more money. There's no evidence that it ever makes more money. I don't know why people say that. Everywhere that you look, if you compare, yes, there could be other factors, but there at least is zero evidence of it ever being there and then making more money when you compare 2 things that are similar. So I really don't get it. The only reason I can think of, which again is not monetary, is because it attracts so many more free-to-play players, there is a chance that could be more expensive than I think. That I'm going to probably do a whole video on that. That is the only reason I think Genshin is as brutal as it has been, at least as it has developed into being, that maybe it costs a lot more and generosity just pulls in more free-to-play than it ever is going to pull in whales because it's not really effective. That's the only reason I can think to do that. But tell me, explain that, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. And even still, I can see why they might not necessarily explain that, but at the same time, I still am not going to continue to support a system that's working against my investment. Because as I said, I know no character is worth $1,000. I'm paying so that I have hundreds of people to play with. And if you're actively working against inviting those players, especially the free-to-play and the light spenders, to me, it seems like you're hurting your business, because you're going to turn a lot of people that would spend the $5 monthly pass into not players, or certainly not spenders, because they're not going to risk throwing away on a 50-50. They're just going to take their chances. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Right? Ultimately, it ruins part of the reason I invest in the game, so it again would make it not for me, at least not worth my investment. I also want an answer about character futures. Don't ask people what kind of characters they like and never bring up what you want to do with it. I love the entire cast, and like I really probably couldn't be happier with the game overall. I even think that the harem thing is kind of overblown and a bit short-sighted to what the story is, but that might just be my perspective because I played the female rover and I saw it. I'm going to do a whole future video on that, but bottom line is, the game is for me, but the players deserve an answer. I don't even mind if you say game is a male harem fantasy simulator. I'd like it less, but I'd still love the game. Or we've seen that players are interested in the ratio of male to female characters. Please note, we do not design to reach any sort of ratio. We entirely design our characters based on the story we want to tell. There is no promise of any ratio. See, you're not promising anything, but at least you're explicit that you have no intention to listen to the people asking you to make males just for the sake of males. And now those people know if the game is for them or not. Every player deserves to know that, in my opinion. And I think every player should agree with that. Even if I don't agree with a single thing that another player wants, I do want them to know if you do, if your game is for them. Because as a player, I'm going to back them up. Players deserve the transparency. They deserve not to get scammed because you hide what your intent is. So I don't want them getting scammed out of their money because you hint that their opinion matters when you have no intention of listening to them. That's messed up. It's unacceptable, even from a 9.5 out of 10 game for me. So I will 100% will quit in 3.0 without an answer on these things. And I've put that in every feedback since probably 1.2 or so. Right? It wasn't 3.0. 2.0 was the first checkpoint. But either way, there's always a checkpoint. You got to answer me about this. And I won't miss the game, just like I don't miss Genshin or ZZZ, because it just literally means the game's not made for me. That's fine. I don't go on a hate train about either of those games, because if the people who are playing them enjoy them and they're exactly what they want them to be, then it just means the game are not for me. And maybe eventually those devs will make a game that is for me. But what I see is a lot of players don't actually seem to set up that level of accountability. They cope and they hope in the game. They try to convince fun for the company, trying to kick other players out of the game. You need to go play this game. What are you doing speaking for the company? Why would you even set that up as a meta? Because when it comes back to you, it's terrible. Hold the company accountable. Say, you need to tell these people if the game is for them. You should tell me if the game is for me. I really can't imagine any player not agreeing with that. See, so as a result, all the games I play, which would leave me with PGR, they always listen to me. See, it's the simplest way to get the company to listen, is you just hold them accountable with binary metrics. And the easiest of which being, just tell me what your game is in the first place. What will it be? And when is it going to be that thing? And then I'll know if you're lying to me, or I'll know if you're competent. It's literally the least that they could do. It's the beginning of business. And if they're not willing to do that minimum, then they really haven't earned your investment. That's something I think every single player can agree with. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.